the most important thing with this account was if you are taking trades that are outside the scope or the norm, but you understand your system and your risk management, keep that in check. It's very easy to lose sight.
Funded trader of Trader Pool. Today, Jimmy is with me on the line. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, having a warm Christmas, but can't complain.
Exactly. And Jimmy just passed the evaluation. It is the mini buying power, which means that you're trading with $20,000 of buying power. You can day trade with that as well because you're trading on our pool, a chunk from our pool. And we'll dive into that in a second. And I will show you exactly the hub and basically the account and the trades Jimmy made. But let's a little bit before that talk a little bit about your trading. How long you been doing that?
So about 5 to 6 years. I started in 2017, 2018, and when I started then, I was just longing. I didn't have the right resources or platforms, so it was
Mm.
quite difficult back then.
Yeah, 5 6 years. But you have, I guess, you have enough experience at the moment, and you saw some bull markets and some downtrends too. And you usually, as I'm looking at your account, you usually trade like small caps, right?
That's correct. And I
Tell.
guess over the years, um, I think a lot of people that started around the same time back then was a lot of people that saw a lot of the ads and saw a lot of the different gurus out there, and they kind of saw trading as a new way to kind of make income, whether it was active or passive. And at the time, shorting wasn't a thing. And then I guess as you know, you go on the journey. At first, you long breakouts, and then you kind of realize that's not working, and then you figure out you try different things, big caps, mid caps, and like you said, now I've gotten to the point where in the dashboard you see I usually trade a lot of small caps, smaller names that you might not even heard of.
Right. So that's interesting because most of the funded traders that I will speak with, they started as penny stock traders. And you're actually saying that you went all the way and actually tried all circle, right? All the niches until you find this one. Tell me a little bit about that for the guys at home that listening. Why did you go from, large cap all the way to penny?
Mm. So I'll give a little bit of context to help the viewers out there. When I first heard about trading was when I was in high school in accounting class, and at that point, nobody knows anything about trading. It's just what you see in the books and maybe some of the big investors. So at that point, I realized you need a lot of money to do, that type of business. So then I looked into Forex and I said, oh, this is quite interesting because you had very large leverage. But I soon found out with that, it's very easy to get blown out of the water. And you had to be on top of the news and everything, depending on what currencies and pairs you traded. So I spent some time looking into that. And, I lasted about a month and I said, this is quite difficult for me, especially while I was in school. The time went on a little bit, and then I was in university doing my undergrad, and I had some time on the side. And I said, this trading thing is quite interesting because I saw my dad doing it growing up, in the basement. I was always wondering, what is dad doing all the time? He's so busy with these graphs and charts, and I couldn't understand a thing. And then I kind of figured out, oh, he was doing commodities. But
Wow.
as I progressed further and I talked to friends around my age. So I'm 29 now, and a lot of people, they have their savings and they're trading mid and big caps. But I realize they have a financial advisor, right? So they're not really making the shots and calls themselves. So I felt like there wasn't many people around me to learn from, and the amount of money you needed to get started was also a lot. So then that brought me naturally to small caps and penny stocks because it was cheaper. So even with a small account, which I started with before, a couple $1,000, that was my first step in, and I was hooked after that.
Got it. Yeah. Makes sense, and super interesting. Also, just to look at your dad trading commodities in the basement. That's an interesting experience to have as a kid. Too. Yeah, is he still trading? Still into that?
Yeah, he's doing a little bit. He just came over for the holidays, and he was showing me how um, he was looking into, I think, like US 30
Mm.
bonds and other things like that, because when you're retired and a bit older, you're working at a different pace now, right? So he
Yeah,
says he's not as quick, but he still loves to trade. So he's still in there a little bit. He used to do oil, which was quite crazy during the
yeah,
2008 times.
yeah.
And yeah, it was very interesting, but it's very fun to talk to him about trading, and that's what I really like about what we're doing now in this community, is that just having people on the journey. I was alone for many of my early years, and it was very difficult mentally and everything, but now I just feel so much better with the resources and what we have available, in 2023.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. You joined Trader Pool. This is not the first evaluation, right? You did a bunch of them before until
Correct.
you passed this one. So first of all, congrats on that. Obviously,
Thank you.
on passing, but also the ambition. The consistency, the drive to continue to trade, even though you didn't pass before. You continue to trade, sharpen up your trading in order to pass the evaluations. And this is something that I really appreciate as as a trader. I really appreciate in our trading community, guys that just pushing it until they will reach the goal, and not just skipping it just because one evaluation didn't go well, right? So congrats on that. Let's dive
Thank you.
into your account. In the meanwhile, while I'm uploading sharing the screen, tell me a little bit about the evaluation. What's the difference between the previous evaluations that you didn't pass comparing to the one that you passed?
hmm So I'll start off by saying, to let the viewers know, I've tried and I've been through and I have blown up multiple accounts. We're probably looking at 10 to 12, and I see in the Discord some of you guys are going through the same thing. And my biggest advice is that don't give up. You can take a break, to reanalyze and get your headspace back together. But the most important thing is that do not undermine the 20K account. All the
Mm.
accounts that are designed by Trade the Pool, if you run the numbers, they all scale correct to their fashion in terms of the daily loss, the take profit. So the biggest difference is that make sure you go through and you read through the blog, the FAQ, to understand what the differences are between the two. And for me, I'm 29 and I don't have a lot of, disposable income to keep doing these, but trading is my passion. So I put, anything that I have left towards this. And the most important thing that I learned from all the other accounts was when you first start, and if you're not consistent or a profitable trader, you're definitely going to be looking for a way to get capital or money. So the quickest way is to go to an investor or a prop firm or somebody else, but you might not have that track record. And the interesting thing is that when I tried the bigger accounts, what drew me in was the profit split was very large, but you could look at that as it's greed or FOMO, right? So as I
Mhm.
went through this, the beginning is you're sizing bigger, you're looking for the home runs, which we've discussed and you've seen in many interviews. That's not the thing to do. And what really made this account stand out, and the stats and even the equity curve, is just very strange, because on that account, before I started, just a week before that one, I was on a 160K account, and that one I had lost, and I had credit. And normally the account would be $97, but I picked this account up for $7, and now we've got a 20K in front of me. And I'd like to say that the most important thing with this account was, if you are taking trades that are outside the scope or the norm, but you understand your system and your risk management, keep that in check. It's very easy to lose sight. And
Yeah.
because you might be like, I think some of the tickers in there are a bit more expensive, but I kept the risk management under control, and that's the most important thing, because if you lose that, you derail, and it's very easy to just lose everything and fall in a cycle down.
Yeah, that's an amazing insight. And looking at your trades as well, first of all, you have like 85% success rate. That's insane
Mhm.
to get that. And I guess you reached that just because you also had the experience from the previous evaluations, right? Um,
Correct. Mhm.
yeah, so that's amazing to see, and it will be very interesting to see on the funded account as well, your percentage wise, and how you're gonna stick to that consistency. Like you said, you mostly short selling either penny stocks. Also, from time to time, I see that you're looking for big names,
Mhm.
or just bigger opportunities. I remember ATAK um,
Mhm.
doing a very nice move, and you made pretty nicely on that $20,000 buying power account. So, in that regard, you said you had some differences between the previous evaluation, and this is something very important for the guys at home to listen to or acknowledge, because a lot of the guys will try to reach that ultimate buying power, right? The $260,000, because it's amazing to trade with so much capital. That's great. But even on the mini buying power, let's the $20,000, you still have enough room to play with and reach that goal and actually make great profits. So try to, for the guys at home that listening right now and didn't try it yet, go for the mini buying power first. Give it a shot. It's less than $100, and it will give you enough space, enough capital to trade with, just so you will understand how to operate it correctly. Once you pass the evaluation or you feel comfortable, you can always go bigger and scale basically up your account, or just go to a new evaluation, bigger one. I see it a lot of the times with other traders. So this is a great insight for that, Jimmy. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because it's nice to hear that. I wish I, heard it myself, because you know what, the interesting thing is that people do the opposite. Just like in training, they start with the big one and then they
Yeah.
work their way down, and then they lose motivation and inspiration. But start with the small one and work your way up, because I never planned on taking the small one, to be honest. And my younger brother, he started trading this year, and he was on his own, account with a different broker. At first, we were, trading on our own. And one thing I like to mention, as part of passing this challenge, was it's very crucial that these stops are in place, because if you've never used it before, this might be the reason why you have to go through so many accounts, because either you refuse to work with it or accept it, and you're trying to find ways around it, which you're not going to be able to find a way around it. You're just going to have to be able to live and learn to work with it and implement into your trading. And once you're able to accomplish this, you can accomplish so much more. So I'm speaking from coming as an unprofitable trader in the past, as a break-even trader, and making all the same mistakes that everybody has made. And the
Yeah.
biggest difference is that when you're with Trade the Pool, you're almost, prepping for, the big marathon, or the Olympics. They're forcing and clamping down on you what they know successful traders need. And you either have to be open and understanding to accept that, and humble enough to work with it, to realize you guys are basically like our coaches, without us really being there in person. And that's very, very important. So no matter what the account size is, don't give up. For new traders, I know some people just started a few years ago, and as you mentioned earlier, there are market cycles, and within those market cycles, there's also weekly, daily, and monthly cycles. So if you're around long enough, you get to see these things, and some things that worked before might not work today, tomorrow. So try not to put all your eggs in one basket. And this all comes back to the risk management, which is very, very important.
That's amazing to hear. I mean, I'm sure the guys that listen in right now will have, the aha moment, understanding really what it is about. And especially you mentioned like trading the retail account, right? Your own capital. can you walk us through maybe like the differences?
Mhm.
What was the main thing, or what is the main thing when it comes to trading with a prop firm and trading on your own capital?
Mhm. I'll speak for my experience
Yeah,
since starting up until now. So, an accumulation of what I've been through, and hopefully that helps
yeah,
people that are maybe at a similar spot or going through it or thinking about going through it, is that when you first go to retail to open your own account, you are risking your money, and that's a different psychological or mental aspect or component that some people are very scared to lose money, and that's okay. That's normal coming into this business, and they quickly realize that it could be a very long journey before they actually see any progress in terms of profits or even in terms of progressing as a trader themselves, because they themselves are kind of hampering themselves. They're scared or they have fear to kind of pursue the ideas or take the trades and let it work. So what ends up happening is that I fell into a trap of becoming a hyper scalper, taking a few cents in and out.
mm,
And the big difference with here is that there is one of the rules that is you should, make more than 10 cents on a trade. So
yeah,
this, of course, if you're a small cap trader, I've talked to a few other traders where their strategy may be trading the 20, 30 cents. And it's a bit harder because you're going to need to be able to swing this for a few days. So you need a lot of confidence and a lot of knowledge and back testing and data to confirm that. But
yeah,
when you're starting out on retail, you might not have a max loss. You might not even have a daily loss. You might not even have a ticker loss. And also, who stops you from doing anything? And plus, you have no community. It's basically you're in the wild, wild west. And
mm,
unless, right from the get go, trading is your passion, you love trading, you want to do it for your whole life, it's very, very difficult. It's just as I guess when, as a young kid, if your parents say, "Oh, pick up this sport or hobby," and you just don't like it, it's just not going to go anywhere. And the most difficult thing is that you're putting your hard-earned cash into it and it's depleting, versus here you put, upfront such a small amount and you can learn so much. From the 10, 12 accounts I've blown, I would have spent 5, 10x the amount I put into those accounts on a retail account. And
uh,
also, I remember in one of the previous interviews, there was something about, because it's not your money, you don't have that sort of attachment, and
mm,
that may be so for a lot of people, but it doesn't excuse you to do crazy activities and behavior. It still requires you to have discipline. It's very interesting to have the contrast between the two. What I would recommend is that if you're on retail, try out a prop firm, see if you like it, because if you never try, how would you know? And if you're with I don't know, a different prop firm and you're not liking how the way they do things, then move around and try, because as a trader you always have to evolve, look at your resources and see what's available out there, because if you don't look, you're not helping yourself either. So yeah, the biggest difference is, I say, is mostly the risk management, and that's very key to succeed as a trader.
nice. Yeah, that's couldn't say it better. You know. Okay, Jimmy. Thanks so much. First of all, I'm sure the guys that are in at home right now listening will have this great, um, just just listening to your experience will push them further, either inspire them or just the tiny insight that you gave on trading in general. So I wish you all success, and obviously in the Discord. We all, as you mentioned, one big community trying to help each other, trying to grow together, and that is amazing to have you there as well as a funded trader now.
Thank you, Michael, for having me on the channel. Thank you for the Trade the Pool team. Thank you to Tim and Emmy for always helping me out. And I'll be in the Discord, guys. So just send a message, be nice, and have a good year, everybody.
Thanks so much, buddy. Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.